Hey, we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Debrena.
Happy new decade.
Hello, happy new decade. It is already, yes, I know it has already been a blessing. How about for you? I saw your beautiful pictures last night.
Oh, out with my daughters. We had a ball, and I was able to be a blessing to a stranger. So it was great. It was great. It was great.
Awesome. So I'm super excited to have this conversation with you on this amazing first day of 2020.
How about that? I've
Yes,
never done a New Year's Day broadcast ever, so I'm so
me, me either. So that says a lot. Okay, so make sure that you can see us. Make sure you can see us on your device, and I'll make sure that we're live. It looks like I see something on each term. See if I can see us. Awesome. Okay, we are.
see us.
Yes, I
See us on
do.
there? Okay, I'm still looking for it. Hang on one second. Da, 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 da. I see us. Yay. Okay, great. All right.
Awesome. Okay, and I wanted to make sure I shared this. Okay, all right. So we wanted to be a blessing to the community that
Yeah.
is surrounded with Hey there, hey ladies, thanks for jumping on. Make sure you have a girlfriend.
Latonda, hey, Latonda. She says, I'm starting my new decade right.
Yes, as you should. Latonda has the inside information.
Yeah.
So, what we want to do today, we want to make sure that we are imparting some amazing nuggets, so that if you are serious about changing what things look like in your life for 2020, you start this year powerfully. And we wanted to actually come on here today, and I'm trying to get everybody in. Someone sending me a text, trying to get on. Awesome. Yes. So we wanted to make sure that we imparted some wisdom. Well, not we, because I am just here to be a facilitator, because we have the amazing Debrena Jackson Gandy, who has traveled the world. She has talked to the world or the nation. Have you been out of the country this year? Last year?
Yeah, every year I usually go international somewhere.
Oh, awesome. So she has been traveling the world, y'all, talking to amazing women, amazing men, getting some insight as to what is going on. Her feet have been on the ground into culture, into what's happening personally, spiritually. And so we wanted to have a conversation. If you're really ready to make 2020, start 2020, the dawn of the new decade powerfully
Wow.
and differently, and walk through it with a
Yeah.
new paradigm shift.
Yes.
This is the place to be. This is the place to be. So today we're going to be talking about the 5 insights to help you get ready for this 2020, including some spiritual readiness. So, what do you have? What is it that you want to impart with us? How do you want to start this conversation with these amazing ladies? Looks like we need some men over here too, ladies. So if you have some men that need to have this conversation,
Yeah.
tag them. The men are doing their work as well.
Yes, they are so ready and hungry. Our men are. Well, I think each year has a certain spiritual vibe or a spiritual theme, and it has a flavor to it. And so now that we're moving into a new decade, I wanted to, for those who might not already be attuned to it, share some insights from my, working with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people this year, 2019, or I guess year, last year, got to get used to saying that. And my work in 2019, and kind of keeping my finger to the pulse of the spiritual wind as to what each year requires of us. And I'm reminded of the movie The Wizard of Oz. I love movie analogies, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy and her companions are all traveling to see the all-powerful wizard, who everybody is in agreement that the wizard has the answers each of them personally need, right? And they get to the castle, and it's quite impressive because the term smoke and mirrors is epitomized in The Wizard of Oz. The wizard is speaking through a big amplifier, and there's smoke and steam blowing out of these different chutes and pipes, and the door is like 30 feet high. And so it's quite convincing from a front-facing perspective. Well, then guess what happens? Little Toto, the little dog Toto, who's unassuming, means no harm, while Dorothy and her companions are having their conversation with the wizard, the imagery created that's supposed to be the wizard, little Toto goes over, grabs the curtain, and pulls back and reveals and exposes the real deal. 2019 was a year of the real deal being exposed. Regardless of and despite the smoke in the mirrors and the front-facing visuals that we may be creating for people to see, the public self that we've been presenting, this was 2019, this year past, was a year of the curtain being pulled back and it revealing what's really been going on behind the curtain. And I'm also including love relationships and marriages in this as well. And let me tell you, it's been ugly. There has been a lot of gunk, funk, junk, poison, and infection going on behind that curtain. And it's been so much that we can no longer contain it. And it started to be exposed in 2019. So 2020 is about some very particular things, given what 2019 was about. And so that's what I wanted to spend a little time sharing today. How do you get positioned? How do you get poised and prepared to understand and move through 2020 in a powerful way? When we get ready for a new year, what we tend to do is we tend to think about what our vision is, right? Our 2020 vision. We tend to think about our resolutions or our new resolves for the new year or our goals. So I'm not talking about any of that. This is not a goal and resolution planning Facebook Live.
No, it is. So hold on, Debrena, because I hear you about to drop some nuggets. If you are watching live, have you a pen and some paper and get ready to write. I just had to share that because she's about to drop some nuggets and you want to have your notepad ready. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So this is not a resolutions, intentions, 2020 vision and 2020 goals conversation.
Right.
Yes, people should be doing that. Focus is much better than being unfocused and vague. Clarity is much better than being distracted and unclear. We understand that. What I'm talking about is, given what has been exposed in 2019, the Wizard of Oz year where the curtain got pulled back and the real deal behind the curtain was revealed, here's the 5 things I want to share with folks. And for those who are familiar with my teachings, there's not much I talk about that does not include the spiritual, because the spiritual realm is the realm of cause. And this physical realm that we're in is the realm of effect. And so transformation, which is the realm I deal in, automatically and always includes conversation about the cause realm, the spiritual realm. And one of the reasons that many of us can't figure life out, and we have adages that we've bought into that are lies, such as life is hard, or life isn't fair. Those are words spoken by somebody and then perpetuated, and others agree, when we don't understand how life works. Life is so fair. Life is not hard if you understand it spiritually, not just physically. So clearly most of us don't understand it spiritually. We've been misinformed and mistaught. And that includes in our churches, because Christian folk, and I identify as a believer, Christian folks' lives don't look any juicier, healthier, more abundant, prosperous, or healthy than folks that might be devil worshipers, unfortunately, or atheists. Okay, so we're missing something. We're missing a lot of some things. So let me start with those 5 insights, and I hope everybody has notes. We're big on note taking, right? Chronicle your learning.
Yes.
So one is integrity.
Mm.
And I want to give a definition of what I mean by integrity, because it's a foundational life concept. And if you are trying to do things that aren't taking root, you're not gaining traction, it's not lasting, you want to take a look at your foundation. And in your foundation should be integrity. So let me give a definition of what I mean by that. Integrity is the ability to keep your word. So what you say is what you do. You say so, and then you do so. Now, what's so powerful about that is your mind, if you say it and don't do it, your mind makes up all these rationalizations and explanations and justifications so that your ego can feel soothed as to why you did not say so and then do so. But our spirit records everything.
Everything.
And spirit operates in truth. So you may think you're getting away with something, but there has to be an energetic correction at some point, because that is a spiritual law. So integrity is about you being able to say so and do so. And to the degree that there's no gap between those two, your personal power gets greater and greater. Now, there's levels of integrity. There's integrity with self. I'm the only one that knows, because I said it to myself or I wrote it to myself. And that's the person to person, me, myself, and I. Then the next level of integrity is me speaking and giving my word to another person. So there's something I say to you that creates a verbal contract. And being able to fulfill on that when I give my word or I speak something and another person is here to receive it or hear it or be part of the contract. Then the third level is integrity, plural, when you now are dealing with groups of people, like in a leadership role, where you either have to get things done through and with people, or you've made or given your word to a group of people. So those are three levels of integrity, and depending on what your life assignment is, your calling, you may get to levels 1 and 2, but you might not be one that is going to be in leadership positions. But if that's something that's a desire of your heart and that is part of your soul's calling, then you get to go to all three levels of integrity. So you get to look at, and we all get to look at, where has our integrity been in 2019? Because, like I said, your spirit records it all. There's no judgment. There's no judgment. Ego is what judges, good, bad. Oh, you're no good, because spirit, just like a video camera, takes it all in. And anything that is not aligned with truth, there will be an energetic correction.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how God put that together?
It is.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is. That's amazing. Now, as you talk about integrity and those three facets of it, I'm drawn to think about what's happening in our country integrally.
Yes.
And how, as spiritual beings, how the, what do you have to say about that? Like, how do you make sure that what is happening is still in alignment with who you are as a person as well?
Right. Well, what's so interesting about 2019 and 2018 as well is we had a chance to, for 2 full years, experience leadership from our president, which presidents are the leaders of nations. And they set the tone, they set the key note, they set the prevailing vibration. And they also create permissions based upon their behavior and their values, because they're the head and everything trickles down to the body from the head. So what you saw was, as Trump spoke hate, you saw more hate crimes. As Trump justified his immoral and out of integrity behavior, you saw more of that not only happening because of the permission of it, but we also saw exposure happen in 2019. And it started in 2018.
Yeah.
25 plus people that were in the inner circle for Trump started to go down. And so we're starting to see an unraveling of this so-called system that's been put together predominantly by Caucasian men, and the curtain being pulled on the smoke and mirrors and the dishonesty, the backroom deals, usurping the system that everyone else is required to go through to get to results. And we start to see how the power structure has been able to remain in place. And so now we have an impeached president, and we shall see what happens with that. So, so the permission was granted to live a life that's out of integrity. Permission was granted to operate from dishonesty and lies. And so we use that to justify, well, hey, well, so-and-so's doing it, and that's the head. Well, so-and-so's doing it, that's the head. And it becomes very difficult to challenge that in an organization. In this case, the organization is the United States. So, but that's all part of it. That's all part of this process, this purging, this cleansing, this revealing is, that's been part of the infection and the poison that has been feeding us 2018 and 2019, the 2 full years of his presidential leadership. So integrity, because that would be the third level, right? Your word to a group, or working through or with others to fulfill on a word, the fulfillment of a word or a goal. So that's been in question nationally, and our power has slid proportionately. Because where you're out of integrity, you leak power. When you're in integrity, you hold it and you gain it. So we've slid. And that's why at the United Nations, when President Trump would speak, the other leaders would literally laugh. That's never happened before. We have never been laughed at on the national scale. So the national stage.
That's so amazing. Because when you started teaching on that, that's initially what I thought about, because like you said, everything is energy and it all flows. And sometimes I know we can kind of ascribe to what's popular, or what's going on, and what's the norm, and get away from those foundational principles and that which to be true. So this is amazing. Okay, I got my notes. Okay, number 2.
Integrity, that's the first insight. We got it. So second is we have got to close gaps. Really, you don't want to go into 2020 with a lot of gaps, because it's going to be a more arduous year if you go in with a lot of gaps. Well, the truth is most of us are going in with a lot of gaps because we've had gaps behind the curtain, right? We've had what I call a double life happening, what's front facing and presented publicly, and then what's going on in the private life, in the privacy of your home or behind the curtain, right? And I see a lot of this, unfortunately, with Christians, and I can call us out because I'm a Christian. I can call us out because I have the opportunity to work predominantly with those who identify as believers. And you do not have to be a Christian to do my empowerment and transformation work, because the spiritual principles I operate from run through all of the great religious traditions. And every religion's intention is to rebind us to God. Read religion, break it down into the Latin roots. Read legionnaire, like ligament, reconnect, rebind us to God. So the intention is great for all religions, but we have gone off course, way off course. And so because of the legalism that often can come with religion, we've been trying to behave a certain way with the public facing self. And then when you pull the curtain back, there's a complete disconnect or huge incongruency. So quick, fast, and in a hurry, we need to close the gaps. So that is the second insight. So wherever you are double lifing, like if you didn't want someone to pull the curtain back, oh, no, don't open that door. No, don't pull that curtain back. In your private life, anywhere where that would be the case, that means you got some cleanup to do.
Definitely.
I just had one of the women that is a graduate of the course that we both support my course, Juicy Woman University. I'll just say the name. Just got off of a conversation with her earlier today where she asked for help putting together a budget because she wanted to move on to the advanced course. And the bar is higher for women that do the master's program, the Juicy Woman University master's program. And she took me up on my invitation because I said, we want to be sure your finances are tight, right, and solid if you're going to be in the master's program. And she says, okay, well, I need some help. I said, wonderful. I will help you put a budget together. And she was so nervous because of the judgment she thought I would have about how she did or didn't manage her finances. I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm thinking, how can I be of service? I'm not even thinking about judging whatever she was going to bring to the phone conversation. And of course, there was no judgment. I just want to know, how have you been handling it? How have you been doing your budgeting? I just want to help you come into order. And so, hour and a half on the phone, and we put a savings plan together. We put a budget together. She now feels empowered where she felt overwhelmed before because she didn't really know what her outgoing total was. She was just paying bills as she went throughout the month. And now we've divided into, first of the month, 15th of the month. And she was just so happy. She was literally hooping and hollering on the phone. She's like, oh my God, I feel so good. I feel so light. And so that was something that was behind the curtain for her, right? Oh God, my finances. I don't want to, bring it forth to Debrena. She's going to judge me, which is not her experience of me at all. So that was her projecting onto me. And so when we got stuff, behind the curtain that's off, that's funky, that's infected, that's poisonous, we have all these adaptive, unhealthy behaviors that come with it. We won't ask for help. We don't want anyone to know the real deal because my mess is worse than anyone else's mess, which is a lie we make up. It's not true. We don't really know what is behind everyone else's curtain.
Definitely.
Or we rebuke help. Or because we think who we're asking for help has it all together, they're going to judge you. So you don't ask for help and you become an island or a lone wolf. I mean, it's just this spiral of negative, toxic behaviors that all go with having all this darkness and incongruency and out of integrity behind that curtain. And so in order to move forward, in order to elevate, in order to have longevity in your business or your relationships, we have got to pull the curtain back now and close the gaps.
For sure.
And no longer have a double life. Like who you see publicly and how you treat people and how you speak and engage and show up publicly is consistent with how you treat people, how you show up and engage privately. And there's no inconsistency between the two. And unfortunately, many of us do have major inconsistencies. So
that's popular too, considering that we're on social media and there's so many people that present their lives as this magazine cover online, and then behind, like you said, behind the curtain, there's major gaps and there's major disconnects. And I think it goes back to, like you said, number one, which is integrity. And in working with you, what I've learned I think I always say this, I've learned so much. But one of the things that I learned about integrity is I know that I have high level of integrity when it comes to other people. But what you have taught us in Juicy Woman University is really thinking about that integrity to self. It is so easy to lie to ourselves. Oh, I'm happy. Oh, we're this, and I'm together. We're fine. We're having together. How are you? Fine. How are you? Good. How are you? Great. And you're lying to yourself. And integrally, like you said before, it's really doing something spiritually to your own good.
Yes.
Woo, that's deep. Okay.
Was there a question?
We have Danielle on us. She's like, she's embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed, sis. We all have stuff. We all have stuff.
Ty said, closing the gaps brings freedom. Amen.
Amen.
From university. But
Amen.
Not long ago, I'm really delighted and honored to have 16 mentees around the country, women that have observed how I live, public and private, and like what they see, bless their hearts. And they have to reach out and make a request for me to be their mentor. And that is a very intentional relationship. It's a mutually understood relationship. And so I tend to have these really amazing, extraordinary women ask me to be their mentors. And most people have one. I have 16 now. I have to have an annual breakfast and an annual mid-year meetup. It's just glorious. Well, when I was speaking in DC, you and I were there to, oh, you might not have been with me on that trip, Shan.
Really?
Yeah. Were you with me when I spoke at Glenarden?
Yes.
Girl,
Yes.
we have so many road miles now. Forgive me. Oh my God. Yes, we're ministering to the women. Yes, you were. And after I spoke at Glenarden, there was a young woman, because I mentioned, I don't know how, I think in my bio, it mentioned that I mentor 16 women around the country. So she waited until everybody said what they needed to say to me and hugged me and thanked me and cleaned up the room. And she was waiting patiently because she wanted to ask me to be her mentor.
Wow.
So what I want you to do, and that was on a Saturday, I said, I want you to call me on Tuesday. Doesn't matter what time. I want you to call me on Tuesday. If you get my voicemail, I will call you back, leave your phone number. So that sister called on Tuesday. I'm like, that's my first vetting. Can you manage your energy to call me on the day I said to call me? Okay. So she made the phone call and we had our exploratory conversation and we decided that, yes, she's in. So then we had our first mentee mentor call. Since she's in the DC area, we have to do it, via phone. And so my first question, before we got into her questions for me, because it's about an exchange of wisdom, first and foremost in the mentor-menteeship, is I said, so how you doing? And she says, I'm fine. And I hesitated. I said, you're not being truthful. How do you know? I said, your voice creates a vibration and there's a gap. I said, how are you really doing? Come to find out that she had just had a death in her family, someone very close to her. And the family, it was, one of those people who's a pillar person in your family. And it was like domino effect and it was creating havoc and chaos in the family.
Oh, no.
And it had only happened days before. So she was still sitting there shocked, hadn't even got to grief yet, just shocked because it was a sudden and unexpected passing. And she was sitting there saying, I'm okay, on top of all that. And she was then able to say, here's what happened. I'm like, oh my goodness. And here's the effect it's had on me. And here's the relationship I had with the person. And it's putting me in a tailspin. And I said, well, what emotions do you have? I'm angry because they left way too soon. And so then she was able to have some healing tears flow. And I said, let them flow. Don't try to dry them up or stifle them or whatever you've told yourself you do. When tears flow, God created tear ducts for a reason. And there's a lot of reasons. And so we've learned how to lie and not tell the truth, even about just our emotional state. And her telling me the truth didn't all of a sudden have me burdened with, no, that was her emotional state. I'm just hearing about it so I can be present to it because it's in the space, whether we try to act like it isn't or not. And so just being truthful, there's not enough space to just be truthful.
True. And be free. You mentioned the crying. Remember our conversation around, and I know I have friends that say the same thing. Like Debrena and I, when we first started working together, there's a lot going on. And I just had this false belief that there was some weakness, y'all. There was weakness in tears.
Girl, speak.
I did. I had this false belief that if I ever cried, then therefore there's some weakness. And therefore I can't cry ever because I'm not weak. And there was so much freedom in just walking through that with you and understanding the grace behind being able to shed a tear and the freedom and the release and the encapsulated energy
Yes.
that, we're doing a disservice to ourselves when we take on this false sense of strength and never have the powerful release that a tear might be required. And it's okay.
Well, see, we have this whole, in this culture, you have to understand the American culture. It's quite twisted. It's quite twisted. And in this culture, we speak lies and people agree out of ignorance,
Yeah.
not stupidity, but ignorance. So things like life is hard, life is unfair, the truth hurts. No, what hurts is lies. What hurts is delusions. And somehow we're so twisted in our thinking in this country, we will co-sign on that. Oh yeah, girl, the truth hurts. Whoa, stop, what? And you're a believer who just said that? Do you not read scripture? The truth will make you free. No, the truth does not hurt. Denial of the truth hurts. Lies hurt. That's what hurts. And so there's so much twisted stuff in this culture that we just say and people agree, and adages and stuff we meme and and it's so based on what I call life lies that we have come to accept as truth. And it creates crazy lives. It creates depression. It creates sickness. It creates accidents. It creates
disease,
breakdowns. It creates disease. It creates breakdown in our relationships. And yet it's all we know. So we keep doing it. Autopilot, what we call in the course, the matrix, right? So, so with that, I want to share the third insight. So we have integrity, and there's 3 levels of integrity. We have closing the gaps, so no more double lifing, public self presented this way, private self, raggedy and a mess and chaos and confusion behind the curtain. No, close the gaps. We have one holistic life, not a double life. The third insight is alignment. So if you talk about alignment, the word line is the root of the word. So what is it we want to have line up? And what is the line against which things should line up, right? So I want to talk about 3 areas of alignment: thought, word, and deed. Or you could say thought, word, and action. Okay. And again, our spirits record it all. When we say X is important and our decisions are completely inconsistent with X being important. Or we say, I value X, and then our choices are divergent from what we claimed is valuable to us. And there's a lot of permission, again, in our culture to have complete incongruence and out of alignment between thought, word, and deed, or thought, word, and action. So, and that also is related to the heart. It's so fascinating that in Proverbs, one of the verses says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he not thinketh in his mind, thinketh in his heart, so is he. So at the level of heart, thoughts of the heart are beliefs. And so as our beliefs are, so are we.
Mm-hmm.
Beliefs, our identity is made up of our beliefs about ourselves, about others, about life, about God. So when we talk about thought, we're also talking about heart, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, as we're told in Matthew in scripture. And so there's a connection between heart and what comes out of our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and people all the time say, oh, well, I didn't mean that. I do a lot of coaching. I said, well, I'm going by what you actually spoke out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And you actually said, blah, which is a reflection of something on the inner you that now just got externalized via your words.
Yeah.
So I'm going by what you said. And what you said is informing me of some perceptions that are existing internally. And so, and I use that in my coaching a lot, because often people are around the country and not just sitting in front of me face to face. And so words are powerful, power-full. So with your thoughts, you want them to be purified, which means our hearts need to be purified. Why? Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So that's why the forgiveness work that we do in Juicy Woman University is so important. How do you purify a human being? Healing and forgiveness. Forgiveness is a subset of healing. So most of us are not purified. We make a salvation decision for believers on the line. We make a salvation decision, and then a process begins called sanctification, the make holy process. And that usually involved going to some discipleship classes. There was no purification of the heart, no transforming. Be ye renewed by the transforming of your mind. No renewal. There's no purification. We just went into the decision with the same mess, gunk, funk, junk, poison, infection, sewage, all up in our being, right? And we wonder why our lives don't have more to show for it as believers or whatever religion you identify with, if you identify with one. Though Christianity never to be a religion.
Right.
Get reduced to a religion. That's another conversation. So, alignment of thought, which means also you got to bring heart into it. Your mouth and your heart are connected. And as you become more mature spiritually, you learn how to guard your thoughts.
Yes.
Scripture talks about this as well, right? Your mind is a gateway. And most people have that gate wide open, and they're letting any and everything in with no discernment and no discriminating wisdom, right? And garbage in must come out, right? Garbage in your mouth comes out your elimination system at some point if you're not constipated. And garbage into your mind will come out in your words, come out in your choices, come out in your decisions, come out in your energy. It will come out. So as you purify and sanctify and do the forgiveness work, because that's how you clean your heart out.
Yeah.
It supports alignment. So then you have word. So we must be mindful of what we speak, because you cannot call a word back. Once I say something, I can try to clean it up. I can apologize. I can come back and try to retract it, but it's been released.
Yes.
I read an adage one time that said words and arrows are similar. Once you shoot them off, you can't call them back.
Right.
So most people, and if you look in scripture, particularly in Proverbs, which was written by King Solomon, who at the time was purported to be the wisest man living, he talks a lot about being a fool and being wise. And there's a lot about the mouth and how the fool speaks, and the mouth and how the wise man or woman speaks. And there's a vast difference. And so when we have not done our purification work, when we have not done our sanctification work, it comes through in what we speak. So our words are powerful, full of power. And the way God set life up is for words to be creative and for words to be generative. So the old false adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. I don't know who wrote that, but that was a lie. That was a lie. So alignment of word and words. And then thirdly is actions or deeds. And those show up in our decisions and in our choices. So, so often we say A is important and we make a B decision.
Ooh.
We say G is important and we make an N decision, not lined up. A is important, make a decision aligned with A. C is important, making a decision aligned with C. So, for example, I was thinking about, I was at my nail spa getting my nails done This was probably 3 weeks ago. And there was a woman sitting to my left, and I'm always scanning my environment because God works through people. That's one of the ways God operates in the earth, is through other human beings. We're always looking up, God, God, God. Well, look around too, because God could bring it through a person. God can use anything. He can use an animal, a tree, a person, the weather patterns. God can use anything. Hallelujah.
Yes.
So I'm sitting here, and this woman is sitting to the left of me at the nail shop, but I'm feeling a tug. I'm feeling a tug like I'm supposed to say something to her. And I'm like, in a battle, because my ego's like, just be a client and get your nails done and chill. And the other part's like, oh, I feel like there's something I'm supposed to say to this woman. How do I segue? Because we're all sitting, there's like 6 of us all getting our nails done. And so I said, oh, so what do you do? Because I was getting this sense of discontent. And I was also looking at her body.
Yeah.
Bodies tell stories without saying anything. And her body was telling a story. And so I said, oh, so what do you do? And she told me what she did. She worked in administration for one of the airlines. I said, oh, and do you like what you do? She goes, oh, I love what I do. I'm like, okay, that's not the area then. Most people are not loving what they do. Okay, that's not it. And I said, so what is a desire of your heart? And she stopped. She goes, oh, I just love horses. I'm like, oh. She goes, yeah, I used to ride horses when I was younger until we couldn't afford the lessons anymore, or the riding lessons anymore. And I said, now, do you like riding horses, or do you like cleaning up and maintaining horses? She goes, oh, I just love being around horses, just being around horses. I said, really? She goes, oh, yes. And, what I would give to be able to be around horses again, but I live in the city. And I said, well, I have a friend who does equine therapy, which is therapy with horses. And she lives, and I named the city. And it's about, because I asked her where she lives. And so it's only about a 45-minute drive, because it's a ranch. So you got to drive out there. And I said, and she's always looking for people that love horses to come and be with her horses. And if you want to help maintain them, and it's a lot, she said it's a lot, she's always open to that. I said, so if you are serious about wanting to be back around horses, then I have a contact for you. Let me know. Okay, so now she's like, oh yeah, that sounds great. And everyone around is going, oh my God, how wonderful. Oh my gosh. And I didn't say anything else. And she was about to be finished with her nails, and everything in me wanted to say, oh, well, here's my card so you can contact me. And God said, don't you dare. You've done your part. Now you got to see, is she ready to close the gap? Because you just made it possible for the desire of her heart to be fulfilled. And if something else is at play, for real, like, do I really deserve it? Am I really worthy of it? Can I really have that? She ain't going to ask you for your card. Yeah. And she did not. Wow. And I kept looking, because she was sitting beside me. Then she was moved over here to dry her nails. And I said, what happened to the woman that had the, when I described her, oh, she left. And I said to everybody, did you all hear the conversation I had with her about the horses? Did you hear that I could be a bridge to horses now being back in her life in the way she'd like them to be? Did you all hear that? I said, she was not ready for that. So she said there was not alignment between her word and her deed. Get the card from the woman who said she knows someone locally that has a ranch and does equine therapy and is looking for people to come out and assist her. So a lot of times we can talk about. Word says X, decision or choices say Z. Yeah. And what I saw on her body, the way her weight was sitting on her body, the distribution of weight on our bodies even tells a story. Shan, it's so deep. I was looking at the distribution of weight on her body, and I knew that there was a ton she was holding. And that's a whole nother conversation. The distribution of the weight was telling me a story too, but the environment was not appropriate for me to jump in with that level of conversation. So, but she left without getting my card.
Yeah.
And so this being out of alignment is very insidious. And so in 2020, if there have been gaps and out of alignments between your thoughts, your words, and your deeds, and remember, thought and heart are very connected. Mouth and heart are very connected. It's going to be a butt whipping in 2020 if we do not close those gaps, because we are designed and made to be living in alignment. The fourth insight, so we have integrity, we have closed the gaps and no more double lifing, we have alignment, and the fourth one is healing.
Healing, yes.
And healing is the overarching term under which forgiveness falls.
Mm-hmm.
So in healing, there's a return and a restoration back to an original or natural or whole state. So many of us are operating in an unnatural state because forgiveness work is not part of how we're rolling. As you know, in Love Academy, that particular life course, the advanced course, we do for life forgiveness work.
Yes, we do.
Yes. And for mentality, my men only love relationships course, we do forgiveness work. Live, real time. Mm-hmm. And I take a poll. I said, okay. And when I was speaking at that big mega church at their women's conference, there was 100 women in the workshop total. And I took a poll, and the percentage of people that have done any intentional, purposeful, facilitated forgiveness work was 2 people out of 100. And that's typical, 2%.
In church.
And that was in a church, a progressive, leading edge, one of the biggest Black churches in the United States, sampling. So the truth of the matter is most of us are not doing any forgiveness work. We don't understand it. I started off in that workshop just saying what forgiveness is and what it isn't, because there's so much confusion. I was just invited to a Kwanzaa event where normally they go through the ritual of recognizing which day of Kwanzaa it is and what it means. And because the coordinator had seen me speak at the Langston Hughes Cultural Arts Institute in Seattle, where instead of doing a traditional training or workshop, I did a healing ritual. And people were so touched and moved, especially the men. And so she said, oh my God, I've been hearing about this healing ritual you did. It must have been off the chain. Can you come and do it at Kwanzaa night? So this was the first time to do a healing ritual at a Kwanzaa event. And there was a young woman that came, and I only had 1 hour, and there was like 60 people there.
Wow.
And one of the young women came up to me because I asked people to get in touch with a situation or scenario from their past where they were left with some low-level emotions as a result of the interaction of the situation. And I guess what she pulled up at that time was something that had happened 7 years prior in her life when she was in junior high. And with just that short healing ritual done corporately, only 1 hour, multi-generational. So we had 91 down to 7 in the room. Woo! She came up to me afterwards and said, there is a pain I've had in my right shoulder blade for months. And I did not know that it was related to my anger and frustration from a situation 7 years ago. And when you had to say certain things and use breath intentionally to help move things out of our system, the pain went away. I never knew there was any correlation. So most of us, we're not doing any actual healing work. We're talking about how we need to do it, but we're not actually doing it.
Yeah.
So 2020 is a year of doing, engaging in healing work.
Mhm.
Not talking about it or saying, oh yeah, I've done my healing work. And then when you really ask people what they've done, it's like 1/10 of what it really requires. And I also think, this is Debrena's theory, that a lot of the mental issues that we see surging across this country are because we are all like unflushed toilets. Imagine going poo-poo in your toilet 5 years ago and then not flushing it anytime since, and all the ish that toilet is holding. Yet we walk around here not doing our healing and forgiveness work. And we have ish happening because so many of us are unhealed in life. So we're creating offenses against each other. We're doing things out of ignorance. And so we never flush ourselves.
Right.
And so it starts to stink. It starts to corrupt the whole space, right? You can have one toilet not flushed for years and the whole house will start to stink. Your whole life can start to stink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not doing your healing and forgiveness work. And so this mental recognition of, because mental stuff has always been here in this culture, but recognition of these mental issues that started to manifest big time in 2019, legislation being passed, funding for mental health. And our mental health is in such a crazy and unhealthy and imbalanced state because our spiritual health
True.
is out of balance.
Yeah.
So, and if you do not do forgiveness work and you haven't done it, and you have rage, especially because rage unaddressed will become depression. Rage is the result of anger over time, not discharged. It becomes rage. And when rage turns inside out on itself, it becomes depression. A lot of depression going on. So, that healing piece is no joke. So that's the fourth insight. And then the fifth one, so that we can get them all in before our time is up. The fifth one is unlearning. We have been sold so many bags of life lies.
Yes.
That we have come to believe are truth. And they're not. And when you look around our lives collectively, you can see by the fruit of our lives that we're living from way too many lies. So those would be the five insights. And all the things I've mentioned aren't contingent upon another person.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't need our boss or our spouse or our kids or our family to co-sign or be in agreement, or even we don't need to run and tell them, oh, I'm closing my gaps. Move on it.
Exactly.
Get to doing the divine self-work. And so that's great news, because this isn't contingent upon anybody else. So there's a lot we have to unlearn. And in Juicy Woman University, the first units are just dealing with the unlearning, the lies about being a woman, the lies about how life works, the lies about the creator, the lies about identity, right? So you have to unlearn so you can learn what's powerful and true.
Yes.
And clear the space out, right? If we have a suitcase packed with old musty clothes and you just got a new wardrobe, you first got to dump out the suitcase of all the old stuff. You got to unlearn, you got to clean and clear and release.
Right.
So 2020, for those of us who've been clearing, cleaning, releasing, operating in integrity, closing gaps, doing our healing and forgiveness work, unlearning and relearning, we're going to have an amazing and glorious and mind-blowing 2020. But for those who have been existing with the gaps and all the stuff that's permissible in this Western American culture, it's going to be a butt cooking year, because you cannot continue to try to elevate without handling some foundation fundamentals foundational fundamentals. That's just how life is set up spiritually. And reevaluating your foundation.
It is. And I always say that
Oh, Shan, could you please be sure as we close this, that the link to Juicy Woman University, that short link is in the chat, or is it already?
no, because we haven't talked about it. But
We got 3 minutes.
okay.
Go ahead.
Realistically, I always say that it's really sad to grow older and not know about how to make life livable, or how to live a full life,
Juicy life.
a juicy life full of joy and peace and ease, and within an alignment that you have a natural flow, a natural energy. So in all of these 5 insights, what is a juicy life? What does that look like? How is it possible to transform and get out of the paradigm of Western culture, get out of the paradigm of the life lies, and really see a move forward towards all of this juiciness that we talk about, and really, reboot your life.
Reboot your life. Reset, reboot, renew. So the good news is, yes, it is absolutely possible to come out of this strained life, as I call it, this ripping and running, overwhelm, living as if lies are truth life. But it goes pretty slow if you try to do it by yourself, because there's so much to clean out and unlearn and relearn. And so that was the reason that I created Juicy Woman University, or I should say was prompted and instructed to create Juicy Woman University, to provide a structured space and place, a cohort community of women ready to come out of these norms we've been talking about, and operating from a higher dimension in a different realm, where joy and ease and peace and order and beauty and flow and emotional and spiritual freedom are the orders of the day. They're not exceptional. It's how we roll. It's in the foundation and the marrow of the course. And so, yes, there is a place and a space where ready women, not those who are still living in the gap, but those who are ready to close the gaps. Not like this dear woman who was at the nail shop who said, I want X, and here someone was that could provide a fulfillment of that and couldn't take the action to actually have that which she was talking about. Women who are ready to have a juicy life, where you are radiant and where you are magnetic, where you experience flow in life, and you relish, revel, and honor your feminine essence, and understand feminine leadership and how it shows up in life. Very different than what we've been told and what's been modeled. Deepen your connection to the divine through learning how to pray more powerfully, and adding in meditation as in the listen, hear, receive aspect of divine communication. And that's what Juicy Woman University offers. It's 12-month life transformation course. Why 12 months and not 12 years? Because we definitely could use 12 years of deprogramming. We need at least a year, because there's so much to unlearn. And so much to relearn, because the Juicy Woman lifestyle is a whole different paradigm.
Yes.
It's a whole different paradigm. It's a whole different level. It's a whole different consciousness that you elevate to in the program on purpose.
Yes.
Because life occurs very differently and responds very differently to a woman operating from what we call the sacred self-caring consciousness. So most folks are operating, let's say my hand represents the norm that most women are operating from, the ripping and running, efforting, overwhelm, time scarcity, never enough time to do all the things you want, self-deferring, self-neglect, blah, 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 blah. And the sacred self-caring consciousness is a completely different realm and level of consciousness. And that's what the course supports you in elevating to. And also in all 8 areas of your life, all 8 major life areas, we talk about a transformation. So we're
Yes.
not just talking about, oh, get your money together and your body's out of whack. We're not just saying, oh, get your body together and your money's crazy. We're not just saying, oh, get your love life together and your kids are out of control. No, juiciness reflects in all areas of a woman's life. So that's why it's called Life Transformation Program. So thank you so much for posting the link, so that women can click and go to Juicy Woman University. The early bird expired last night, but we still have, I think we have 19 more seats available before we're full. So I really invite people to click on that link and check out Juicy Woman University and the testimonies. I could have given you this whole hour, Shan, just to talk about your testimonies, that people visibly see and have spoken on, and see results, right? Every area of your life, including your business.
Yes, everything. I mean, abundance abounds, and
Woo!
I
Ooh,
know that it yes, abundance abounds. I mean, I have all these little nuggets. I need to start writing these down myself.
Shanisms.
But realistically, if I can, I'm just going to give this live testimony. I say this all the time. Juicy Woman University has been the best investment that I've given to myself in my life. As a businesswoman, I never thought I would be in a life program because I thought I had my life together. You know, the measure of success has always been things and money, but life looked a mess. And I can always say, you know, I've lived very nice. It looks a little nicer now because I'm not as stressed and I can enjoy it and I'm traveling. And it really is a testament to doing the work, walking through this process with someone like Debrena, who gently nudges you to betterment, who teaches and coaches you through all your mess and skunk, and just really lovingly guides you to the light. It has been it has been the catalyst to the way that my life looks now. And physically, y'all, I'm telling you, when you are stressed out and you're overwhelmed, you have a physical reflection of that. And your countenance changes once you can remove all the gunk. Once you can flush that toilet after 5 years, things look different. The smiles are real. You know, we have transformation stories out of, because this is the third year of Juicy Woman University. We have transformation stories out of Juicy Woman University. I mean, women look different
Yes.
physically because the weight is lifted, and we're able to be blessings in our communities, and we're able to be, you know, impart extra wisdom or impart more wisdom into our families and into our, you know, spheres of influence. It's just that powerful. And so I implore you to invest in yourself, to take a deep look at Juicy Woman University, because you owe it to yourself. And if not for you, think about your kids, think about your children. As a over 40 something year old woman, it is intense to know that I just got this information in my 40s. How powerful would it have been in my 20s? All those mistakes. But guess what? My babies get this information because their mother took the leap to invest in herself. And now I can teach and help them travel through and not make those same mistakes, not absorb the lies, not live outside of self integrity first. You know, you can teach your kids to be truthful, to be good people, but we have to start with teaching them to honor their self and to understand what their desires are and what their, you know, purpose on this earth really looks like and how that's supposed to look. It's been amazing. And there are some ladies that are watching this right now that are part of our Juicy Woman cohorts. And I said last night, this is the cohort of K. You are not going to be doing this alone. We are in this. Yes, we are in this together. You have an amazing sisterhood that's probably a lifelong sisterhood, because we just create that kind of a bond. It is unlike any other program. Someone who's in the online space, y'all, this ain't like everybody else's program. It's something different. It is life changing. It is transformational, and you will physically emotionally, spiritually, financially,
Woo!
look different
Yeah.
afterwards.
And relationally.
Oh yes, and relate.
Did you say bodily too? Yeah, you did.
Yes, physically, you will literally look your whole life. Your 8 areas of your life will look so much different if you give yourself the gift of this year walking with us.
Love it. That was an awesome summary. I just love it. I just love it. Oh my goodness.
So the link is below. Take a look. Join us on the journey. It is the best investment you can give yourself. It literally is the amount of money y'all we spend on our nails, our hairdo. It is not something huge to bite off. She's made this super, super affordable. And let me tell y'all, as her business strategist, this should be $10,000. It's
Yeah.
important and it's that meaty, it's that good. But this is something that is super, super affordable. It is an investment that you are making yourself. And I'm telling you, best investment I ever made in my life. There's other ladies that would say the same. I invite you to join us. And the link is below. So and also if you have any questions, feel free to inbox me. Feel free to inbox Debrena. We would love to have you on this journey. We are in January. We start in about what, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still time to get in.
There's
And
definitely time to get in. Do not get left behind. This is not the program when you wake up in March and say, oh, I want to join. We'll see you in 2021. However, don't miss out on this year. Let's make this year the last year that you're in the same old paradigm and walk. Just let's walk differently into 2020.
amen.
Yes. All right, Debrena. Well, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your night. I love you so much. And this has been amazing. Y'all, the replay will be available in about 5 minutes. So if you came in late, you can watch the replay. Be sure to check out that page. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. And we will see y'all later.
And this is shareable too, right?
Oh, definitely. Share with your friends. Copy the link, text it to a friend. This will be live on the page. So you can watch the replay and share it and engage. And if you are commenting on the replay, we will see that too. Be sure to tag us.
Thank you. Love you. Appreciate you.
Oh, I love and appreciate you. All right, ladies. Bye now.